Welcome to Being Anxiety Free. My name is Emma Upton and I'm here to spill all the tea on what it means to be able to choose to be anxiety free. Without anxiety, we know who we're here to be and what we're here to do, and then the unique coding locked inside our DNA, the magic of all of that gets to flow through. So, join me and let's dive into today's episode. Cheers. Episode 33. I don't think this is something that is spoken about enough. When intuition is triggering. So today is Trigger Tuesday. What I have dedicated my life experience to after this insane awakening moment, I've wanted to reconnect back to that again and again. I think what we deem as enlightenment or awakening or whatever it is, whatever we try and solidify it and make it feel like a sensical thing. I think it's so easy to believe that a moment occurs and then we just divinely know, and then we're connected in this space and we just walk around like Jesus. That ain't it. That's not it. We go through life having these profound awakenings if we are open to receiving them. And our work is to remain connected to that over and over again. So I've created a sensory experience where each day is dedicated to a different colour, scent, smell, taste, and every day you go through the day reminding yourself again and again to reconnect to that divine space, universal energy space, subconscious space, whatever we want to label it to make it make sense in our conscious brain. The work is to connect there again and again and again and again. The more often we connect there, the more effortlessly we go through life, working from that depth rather than just being in the conscious mind and out in the 3D and being triggered by the world. So Tuesdays, Tangerine Tuesdays, trigger-free Tuesdays. That's why I'm always head to foot in orange. And today has been, I wanted to share my experience of how connecting with that divine self, connecting with who you are and what you're here to do, the reason that we do that is because it allows us to lead our life with our intuition. When we lead our life through intuition, we're guided to the spaces and places that we're actually meant to be, rather than in our head thinking like, I need to figure this out, I need to plan this out, I need to do this, and then I'll make it all work. When we lean back into that subconscious space, that universal energy space, when we lean back and we move from those spaces and we let that come through the unconscious and into the conscious brain and out, that's when we start creating the body of work we're here to, we make the impact we're here to, and then we make the income that we're here to. So my conscious brain had today figured out, like, this is my to-do list. This is what I started Awakening Inner Power with today, like sharing a story similar to this. And that this was my to-do list for today. And I woke up being like, let's get stuff done. My alarm went off at 5 and I was like, I'm just not feeling it. Which, like, that doesn't happen to me anymore. Like, a few years ago I had this experience that changed the trajectory of my life. Now I get up at 5 and I get busy, I get down to business. And I was like, no. So I went back to sleep. Now I woke up at 7. Actually, my little boy woke me up, it was 7:30. And he was like, Mummy, it's 7:30. I'm like, you're not awake, you're not in your office. I was like, yeah, I know. My husband was here. Hey there. And I was like, I'm not taking them to school today. Which is really peculiar. Hello, you. Because I take my children to school every day. It's one of the best parts of the day, but it's like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to. It doesn't feel like something I want to do. And my husband and my twins kept coming into the bedroom this morning being like, okay, you okay? I'm like, you're not taking them to school? I'm like, no. And they're like, are you okay? And they kept coming to line alongside me. Are you okay? I'm like, Mummy's fine. But I'm not taking you to school together today. And I didn't know why. I just knew that it didn't feel in alignment. Now, the conscious part of me wanted to. The conscious Emma, conscious brain part of me wanted to get up, to get busy, to go do. Like, that is what I do. I've trained myself to be stronger than my conscious brain though. So that was screaming. I was like, no. So they went off to school and I just lay there. I lay there for a while and I was like, am I hungry? No. Do I want, like, what do I want to do? No. Anyway, I moved into the energy of, I want to create. So I came into my office and I got one of my big A5, no. So opposite way, isn't it? A1. Why are the numbers smaller but the paper's bigger? Always blows my mind. One of my A1 boards. And I just started creating and flowing, and I started to create in about this mastermind that I've got coming up, about which is completely unrelated to what I was meant to be creating today. Like to a day is the Awaken the Inner Power. I still wanted to do some flow around that. But no, I wanted to do this mastermind, and I wanted to map out the ideas. It's called the 5K Mastermind. So the foundational mastermind that we're growing out. It's a group, intimate group of people, and we're all bringing stuff to mastermind together. Like that's what I wanted to focus on. I was like, that's weird, but fine, I'll roll with it. So I started mapping out and started getting creative and starting getting these ideas flowing. And guess what? Somebody reached out to me and messaged me and I was like, you know that mastermind? Can I join? How much time and energy do we spend thinking we know who's meant to be in our work, who's meant to be doing what, I'm meant to be doing this, you're meant to be doing that? How much energy do we expel trying to figure it all out? How much this morning did my conscious brain want to get me up at 5 and go get busy with the list and do the things that I always do, take the children to school, go for my walk in the woods? Like that's just what I do. And not to do that, to trust this feeling inside me that said, don't do that today. Like that's uncomfortable. We don't want to do that. We want to go, we want to know, we want to do, we want it to make sense. Trusting this and above that is an ask. But when we're brave enough to do it, when we feel the trigger of like, I know that's not what I want to do, and yes, I'm going to, we get feedback from the universe. It leaves the conscious brain then wondering like, well, how does that work then? Are you saying to me, this is what I can imagine someone logical, someone normal coming up to me and saying, so what you're saying is the only reason that person reached out to you about that work that you so happen to be working on this morning is because you were working on it. I know. But the beauty is, I don't need to know. The conscious brain wants to know, wants to make it make sense, wants to make it logical. I'm beyond wanting to do that now. Like I can still feel remnants of it trying to muster up and trying to make sense of it all. Like I'm still a human. You're still a human. We're also going to be human. We try and do that. But I've released that overbearing want and drive to control everything so that it makes sense. I've released that. And so guess what? Those moments happen more and more often in my world. And the more open I am to that, the more regularly they happen. And I'm not out here being like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, no, it's just more evidence to me to trust that intuition, even though it's triggering, even though it's different, even though it goes against what my brain and rational, conscious, normal mind is trying to tell me, that human part of me, to trust deeper into that. And that intuition then grows. It's like, oh, it's safe to be expressed. It's safe to lead the way. You're going to actually follow if I lead. And yes, I am. Because this life is far more magical than the life that this was creating for me before. This was not fun. This is joy and fun every single day. So here's to being triggered. Happy trigger-free Tuesday. But here is to embracing the triggers, especially when it allows that intuition to come up and through us. Because when we lead our life and our business through that intuition, that's when we get the real life magic. That's when the real life magical impact happens to people in our world. And when that happens, that's when the real life magical income comes into our world. So go wear your oranges, go wear your tans, and feel in and lean into the triggers. Happy trigger-free Tuesday. Much love.